Good morning, friends. Thank you for joining me. Today I am repurposing some old tags from clothing. When you go to the store and you buy a new shirt or a coat or something like that, jeans, you get tags. And those tags already come on great cardstock and with grommets and string and holes. And it's a super easy way to get a bunch of tags done on really high quality substrate without having to die cut them. So I'm going to do a little project. So we're going to start with a really simple tag first. And as you can see here, I'm looking at covering the entire tag with paper, and then I'm going to notice that I really like that tree graphic at the bottom, and I want to preserve that. So I'm going to experiment with papers and try to find a bunch of papers that I like that go with the trees without covering them up. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to take the opportunity just to say this is my first voiceover. It was a really difficult day to record. It was very stormy and dark, and we had very severe storms. And as I was recording, all three of my guys were home and yelling and talking, and there was a lot of background noise, and the dogs were panting, and they were suffering because of the noise, and there was just no way I could record normally. So it's actually very difficult to do a voiceover. I never realized how hard it was, and this is probably like my 10th try. So I'm going to just really try hard to get through this so that you guys can see the project. It isn't perfect. The lighting's not perfect, and gee whiz, my hands and arms are a mess from being outside gardening so much. I've been really gashing myself. You may see some gashes and bruises, and my fingers are full of dye and stained from the garden. So not so pretty, but such is life in it as an outdoor person and an artist. So you've seen me put some papers on now. I opted obviously for a vintage dictionary page and some scrapbook paper. And now I'm taking out, I have a cigar box. I've had so many different ways of organizing things, and I keep changing, but my newest thing is keeping my very favorite washi tape in a cigar box because I notice I always reach for the same ones. I don't know if you do, but I just have some favorites. So I've decided that I kind of like this like lumberjack feel, and the brand name's at the bottom and I want to cover it, but the tape I chose is a little bit too see-through. I can still see the name of the brand, so I'm going to have to put a little piece of scrap paper at the bottom before I put down the tape so that I can cover up the entire name. So here I am gluing it, and I'm going to go off frame a little bit because like I said, I was like so cramped when I did this, and I ended up having to zoom the film in because it just really wasn't working well, and I go off frame. So I apologize for that, but I will let you know what I'm doing. Nothing that I do off frame is something that you don't know how to do. So I'm burnishing the tape on right now with one of my favorite tools, a hotel room key. I just find they work really good, and my husband travels so much that I have like hundreds of them. Okay, and I'm finishing off with another piece of washi tape. So this is kind of my front, and I like the way it looks. It's kind of simple and clean, and it has sort of an outdoor feel to it. And the tag is quite large, so I think what I would like to do with this tag is probably make it into a journaling tag where I can write on the back and slip it into a pocket and to a journal. So I think I want to keep the back really simple. So I'm just going to find a piece of masking paper, the kind that you get at the home improvement stores, and I'm just going to glue a big piece of masking paper on the back, and that's going to give me a really good base to do whatever I want in the future. Or if I'm making a gift for someone and I'm including this tag, it can give them some opportunities. So now that it's glued on, I'm just going to go around the edges and use the edges of the tag as my guide. One of the greatest things about using these pre-made tags is that they're usually so thick that you don't have to measure anything. The lines are so easy to work around. So one of the things that you're not going to see because it goes off camera is that I want to use a grommet and the hole that's already there. So I find a little brown grommet and off camera, because I wasn't lined up right, I used my Crop-A-Dile just to put that little grommet in. It's not a big deal. And I'm not sure if you're going to see me do this or not, but I, in the end, took the ink and just went around the edges because I didn't want the edge of the tag to be so brown. Oh, and here, of course, in the typical junk journaler style that I am, I can't leave anything alone, and I think I'm going to do some more collage, and then I decide, I think, just to leave it. So here's a really cool, see this little piece here? This came in, I think I got a mixed bag of metal pieces at Hobby Lobby, and there was this brad that I was like, I don't know what I'm ever going to use this brad for, but this was the piece that was going to work. I found this hang tag, I don't know what it was from. Oh, it was from a purse I just got for my travels, and I figured I'm going to do a little sliding open tag that hangs on each other, and that brad's going to allow me to do that and still hang a fiber off of it. So the back piece that's going to slide out, I want to be simple, so I'm just covering it in masking paper, as you can see. And I have sped up this video because otherwise you would be so incredibly bored watching me. So I'm going to try to talk and keep up with myself, but it'll be a little challenging at times. So I just took the back tag and I covered it with masking paper. And as you can see now, I'm going around trimming it. And this is what's so funny. When I work, I'm like a complete hot mess. My workspace is just a disaster, and I am so far from OCD in that way, but yet I can go down a rabbit hole if something isn't perfect on something I'm doing. So here I am, it's like I just can't stop messing with the edges of this tag. Even though I know once it's done, I'm going to finish it off, I just can't seem to get away from it. I super obsess over it, and I had to cut so much tape out of this recording because I obsess for way too long. And it's a tag, people. It's not that important, but here I am obsessing. So finally, I think I'm letting it go for a while. Thankfully, we'll see. Maybe I'll obsess a little bit more. Yes, I am. I'm going to obsess just a teeny bit more. Oh yes, because that's what we do. Something's not perfect. I got to get those edges perfect, and I'm going to keep trimming and inking and gluing and whatnot until I think it's good. So you can see in the upper left-hand corner, I'm going to take that top tag now, and you'll see what I'm going to do with it. But essentially, I'm going to sort of do a tag where it's decorated on the top, and then it reveals a journaling area in the back. So let's hope I'm done obsessing with this for a while. And I think I am. Phew, that was painful to watch. Okay, so now I'm looking at this, and I really like the red, and I like the edge. So I'm going to take this old piece of dictionary, and I love the rip edge that came out of the book, and I want to preserve that. So I'm going to ink that a little bit, just so that it stands out a bit more. Gosh, my hands are a mess. I did succeed in having them look decent for London, thankfully, but now I'm back to my real life. Okay, so I'm going to trim this out. Great. And now I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with this? I'm going to ink the edge, and then I have to decide what I'm going to do. So off camera, I have like a little pile of scraps, and I'm just going to try out a few things just to see what I like there. And it's just a gut feeling, it's like we all do it. We just have a bunch of options and we just try them out until something spatially feels right, color palette feels right. And you can't explain why something works or doesn't work. It's just something that you get a feel for. So I like this piece, and I want the torn edge, so I start tearing it just a little bit. And you can see how sticky my fingers are. Everything is sticking towards it. Okay. And I'm trying to get it so that I like it. And, oh, I'm still using my glue piece. Excellent. Good for you, Michelle. Okay, so now I'm going to ink the edge of this. There we go. And I'm really kind of digging the reds in the palette on this one. And I know in my mind that I want to do some kind of a floral or something on the front. So now you're going to see, so when you're like sort of crafting as you go, sometimes you make, I don't want to say mistakes, but you realize later that you do steps you don't need to do in order. And this step I'm going to end up doing several times because I should have just waited to the end to do it. I'm not quite sure why I felt it was important to do now, but I thought it would make it easier if I had the glue drying on the brad while I was working. But so I've put glue on the brad and I have it clipped because I think that's going to be the best. And you're going to see that that really wasn't the step I should have been doing. But that's how we learn, and it's really not a big deal. So right now I'm off camera going through pictures, trying to figure out what I'm going to put on that little area, and kind of looking at that and saying, okay, maybe I'll use some pressed flowers. So I'm going to start looking at the pressed flowers, and they don't really work for me. Like, I really like that, but I'm afraid of what I would have to do to the top of the tag to preserve that very delicate pressed flower. I'd probably have to put some kind of layer of Mod Podge or something to keep that intact. And I'm not in my normal workspace, and I don't have it handy, and it just seems like it reeks of effort, and I just decide in the end against it. So now I'm going to take out my big ephemera pouch, which I never finished. Everybody has such pretty ones that they finished, and I'll give you a hint. You know what you're looking at right now? You're looking at Martha Stewart's wedding planner. I found it at the swap shop. No, the person who it was probably gifted to never used it. It was brand new, and they have so many pockets in it, and it was a massive spine. So I took the pages that were already in there, I took them out, I kept the dividers, and I added some just like some photo, inserts, and I keep all my ephemera in there. So I love the red, and I decide I really want to do a mushroom, and in my mind I think I'm going to use a red mushroom, but I end up opting for this nice tan one. And off camera, I fussy cut this fern. And of course, I cut the top off because I'm not a very good fussy cutter, and it ended up breaking off. But I know I can fix it with glue. So now I'm trying to decide how I'm going to lay out. Do I want to see the whole mushroom? Do I want to hide the mushroom behind the fern? And I end up deciding I'll put the fern in the background, partially because I don't want the focus to be on the little area that I clipped off, and I know it'll kind of disappear if I just kind of put it in the background. So I put the fern on, and now I'm going to try to, and I broke it again. Daggone. I'm like a bull in a china shop. At least that's what my mom used to always say. And she's right. So I'm going to try to put this fern back on. Okay, there it is. And now I'm going to put the mushroom right there. Okay, and I'm going to ink the edges. And oh my gosh, you're going to see. I got these stickers. It is impossible to get the back off. I'm sorry. Does somebody have a trick to get these, it's like a washi sticker? I just can't get the back off. And finally, I just get frustrated. And I'm like, you know what? What is it really going to get me? I'm going to just end up gluing it and putting it on. Would it have been better if the back was off? Yes. Do I have time for that? Heck no. Okay, so I'm going to stick that on. And now, you know what's bothering me? Oh, what am I doing now? Oh, see this great stamp? I got that at Blade Rubber Stamps in London. That was one of my souvenirs. And I know I'm going to use this stamp for so many things. And so now I want to put a little specimen tag on it. And of course this is going to be funny for you. You're going to see what a spaz I really am. I decide that number 5 is the number I want to use. And now I'm trying to make the edges, and I want to, in my mind, I think I'm going to make it sort of like an octagon. And of course, I'm just freestyling it, and it comes out just terrible, and it's not going to work. And I realize it's not going to work, and I have to put it aside. All right, figure 5 is not going to work. All right, that's okay. We'll go for figure 4. 4 is a fine number, terrific number. And I'm going to mess 4 up too. I'm going to ink it, and I'm going to think, okay, I can pull this oh God, I just got it full of ink. 3. 3's a fabulous number, a terrific number. It's going to look great. 3's just going to look amazing. See, 3, that was the original number I should have went with. I knew it. Okay, so I have 3, and I need a little piece of paper to put in the background. What color do I want? I think I want to go with something really dark, so I'm going to reach off camera and get a black piece of cardstock, and I'm going to put it on the cardstock wrong. And I'm going to cut it too close, and I'm going to say, oh my God, okay, so much for 3. All right, we're going figure 7, people. 7, perfect. Should have went with 7 right from the get-go. Lucky number 7. All righty. Is this going to be it? Thank God that stamp has multiple figures, because, man, I can't seem to make it work, can I? All right. Woohoo! That was effort. Here we go. Figure 7. All righty. Gonna do a little extra ink just to make it look a little beat up. And we're gonna glue that right over the bottom there. Voila. And there's my little front of my tag. All right, I'm just gonna try to take my bone folder, and I don't want to go over it because I'm so afraid of screwing up figure 7, because as you can see, I only have 1 and 2 in the left-hand corner left. Whew. Okay, so now I have a little bit of washi, because I don't like how bright that brad is. I want to kind of tone that down. The brass is too bright. So I think I'm going to take a little piece of washi, and I'm going to stick that. The brad is so big, I think I'm just going to put it on and kind of tone down that metallic, which is fine, but I can't let enough alone. I have to say, oh, now I need to do the top. So you're going to see me add it to the top and then realize that if I add it to the top, I'm going to throw off the pivot. So I'm going to have to take it back off. But, that's part of the process. That's, we're problem solvers. That's what junk journalers are. We're problem solvers. We kind of work as we go, and nothing is set in stone. That's one of the beauties of it, right? It's all a process, and you can keep working as you go. So now I want to mimic the fern, and I'm going to take this stamp that I've had forever, which one of my favorite stamps, and I'm going to put on some Tim Holtz archival ink in green. I don't know the color of the green. I'm not at my workspace to check it, but it's one of their little distress inks, and it's kind of like an olivey green, and I'm going to just sort of make that fern on there, and yay, it pivots. Alrighty, so now I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to pivot it, and I'm going to realize, oh my gosh, there was the back of that original tag that is a mess. It was supposed to be covered, and I totally forgot. So now I have to wiggle out the glued and washi taped brad. Yep, that's what I got to do. Oh my gosh. See? It's just flying by the seat of my pants. I amaze myself sometimes. But, no biggie. I'm not really that worked up about it. It's just one of those roll your eyes at yourself moments. So now I'm going to take my dictionary page. And am I the only one who obsesses about what is on the dictionary page before you lay it down? I'm always afraid that I'm going to make a tag or cover something, and there's going to be a dirty word or upsetting word on it, and I'm going to give it to somebody as a gift, and they're going to read some terrible word on the dictionary page and think that I picked that out for them. So I always read my words before I glue it on. Make sure there's nothing too offensive on there. Okay, so now I'm back on track. And I'm inking it. And I'm now going to put the pivot back on with the brad, and I'm going to have to re-glue it. which is fine. I should have just did both tags and then did this right at the end. But you know what? Next time I use that tag, I mean that brad, I'll know it. But I think the box that I got that in only had 3, so I'm not going to use those that often. But if you notice, there's a little hole at the top of that brad, so it's a really great brad to like hang off of. Okay, so now I'm on my last tag. So this tag is a 2-piece tag that came off of a pair of capri denim pants, and they're already connected. They're a great weight, and they have grommets on them, and I kind of like the string on them and everything, so I want to kind of preserve the hanging tag as is. So I really like the black, so I'm going to choose a piece of paper that you just saw, and I'm going to use that to cover most of the logo and the text on the tag, but still have a little bit of the black showing out. And I'm trying to do a layered effect, and I'm trying to figure out what colors I want to use. And I've already chosen to the left-hand side a few little objects that I kind of like the color palette. Don't know if I'm going to use them, but that's kind of like the colors I want to use. So I end up using like a brown because it goes better with that palette. And I've noticed that if you take your ink pad and you go right on the edge and you do brown archival ink and then black archival ink, it almost looks like it was burned with a match. I thought I did it on this first paper. I guess I probably didn't, but I will be doing it on this tag. So if I don't have a chance to kind of tell you and you see me dipping it in 2 pads, that's really what I'm doing. So I'm layering these 2 pieces of paper on top of the tag, and I'm burnishing them in. And again, do I measure anything? No, I don't. Because, you know, if I tried to measure that to fit it perfectly, it wouldn't. I just would never be able to get it perfect. I know me. Maybe some people could do it. I just really couldn't. And the nice thing is these are so heavy, these tags, that you really can just line your scissors up with the edge of the tag and follow it and get a good cut. So this is a great project for me when I have a little bit of time. And I just want to make some things for my embellishment pouch. So now I'm going to go around and I'm going to, I think in my head I'm going to wrap the paper, and I'm not sure, so I have it cut so that I could just do the flaps over if I want. I'm not really sure that's what I want to do yet, but I cut it just in case. And then I realized that by doing every side of it, I don't like how that looks, but I'm going to preserve one side of it, and I'm going to rip it so it looks very collaged rather than just wrapped around. And I like that look, and that's fine. But this little piece isn't going to work for me, so I'm going to trim that off. And look, I learned my lesson. I'm doing both sides of the tags before moving on. See, you can teach a junk journaler new tricks. Okay, so I'm still working on the back side of that first tag. Nope, maybe I'm working on the front side. And I'm trying to figure out what do I want on the front of that tag. Oh, and I got this butterfly from some Happy Mail. I want to say it might be from Donkey Journals, but I can't quite remember. And I really think that it's going to look great on this tag. And you're going to see me try to use this butterfly so many times, and in the end, I can't make it work. And that's how it happens sometimes. No biggie. Okay, so I love this stamp, and I want to put this on, and I feel like it kind of disappears a little bit. So that's where I'm going to do that sort of black around the edge. And now I'm fussy cutting. Oh my gosh, the worst fussy cutter. Luckily, a lot of this fussy cutting is off camera because I'm not in frame, so you don't have to see how terrible I am, but here I am, fussy cutting this little botanical that I'm going to layer behind the stamp. La 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 la. How are you guys doing? Hope you're doing well. It is so bloody hot here, like really hot. Like it feels like almost 100 out, and the humidity is just ridiculous. But I'm hoping we're supposed to get tons more storms, and then it's supposed to clear the air for a couple days. Okay, here I am. I'm back. Okay, I'm going to layer this in. Oh, this is kind of funny. Oh, so typical me. You're going to get a little inside shot at who I really am. Okay, so here's the double dip with the inking, and you're going to see that kind of gives it that sort of burnt edge, which I really like. And now I need to glue these on, and I need to, oh yes, when I fussy cut, I always put the edges in ink, because that way any teeny tiny little piece that I miss kind of disappears. So this is where it kind of cracks me up. So now I'm going to glue these two on, and this is so me. Should I have figured it out ahead of time? Oh, of course I should have. But no, I got to add ink. I got to add actual glue to things before I'm sure where I'm going to put it. So I'm going to move this with glue on several times. And luckily it's repositionable, but you know, sometimes I make myself laugh. But that's okay. I have fun doing it, and that's all that matters. So I have a little bit of the leaf sticking off of the tag, and I could like wrap it around the back, or I could trim it off, but I kind of dig that little 3D element coming off of the tag, so I'm going to leave it there. And now I'm going to finish off the back, and I'm just going to do a little light collaging, because I don't know if I'm going to want to write on that or what I'm going to use this tag for. I try to not 100% cover everything, because if I put these tags in journals, I want to be able to write something on them. You know, this tag might even be just a gift tag that I put on a present that I really want to make pretty, and I would really like to write on that and to the person I'm giving it to. So I want to leave a little bit of space on there. So I'm going to start just, you know, here I am just trying to figure out what I'm doing on the back and doing my inking, and as you can see, just trying to go with the gut. I'm pretty impressed with myself. I'm still using the the gluing sheet, although I think I'm messing up my sheet underneath, but that's okay. All right, where am I going to put this? Decide, Michelle, decide. Usually I keep wet wipes next to me, but I didn't realize the container was empty, and I'm too lazy to go find some. Or truthfully, the dogs were on my feet, and they were having such a hard time with the thunderstorms that I didn't want to move, but my hands are so sticky, you're going to see things sticking to them. So I'm now putting paper on the back side, and I'm trimming around that leaf, that 3D element, because I want to mimic that on the back. And when I decided to place down the dictionary page, I ripped off the number on the top of the page number. I love those little page numbers. And I don't remember who I saw the first time really using those, but I thought, you know, that's so smart. I just love the way the numbers are written. And I love using them in little collages. So right now I'm inking and gluing and doing my little thing on the back of the tag, just finishing off that tag. And I think when I turn it over, I balance-wise, I just want something on the top. So that's where I'm going to use the number of the page, and I kind of dig it there. So I'll ink it and glue it and put it on the top. Here I go. Alrighty. Yep. Oh, my hands are so sticky here. I want to sink so bad. And look how sticky my scissors are. Is it just driving you crazy? Just so you know, I will clean off all of my scissors at the end of this video, not on camera, but with a great product called Goo Gone, and I just put it on paper towel and wipe it over the blades and takes everything off, and they're as good as new after. So I am messy when I work, but I do clean up well after myself. I love this piece of paper and I want to use it, but it just feels too busy to me. So right here I'm trying to figure out, okay, what paper goes with the first tag. I love this too. Again, I'm feeling like the colors are too similar and it's too busy. Love the green, it really pulls out the leaf. No, that's not going to work. Oh, maybe it'll work. I'm going to try. Maybe. Not sure. And I love this green, and I intend to use the green, and somehow I forget about the green. I get distracted by another piece of paper right here, and I totally forget about the green. But I think what draws me to this paper is absolute sheer laziness. I was making this video as sort of like a little craft with me, and it was starting to get very long. And I thought, you know what, this paper really goes. I really like it. And it's kind of all done for me. The collage is already done for me. And that is sort of a little lesson you can use, that if you're in a rush, already collaged paper can really speed up the process and give you the effect you're looking for without you having to do the whole thing. And I mean, truthfully, I love doing my own collaging, but sometimes there's just not time. And I was trying to pay attention to the fact that I didn't want this craft with me to be too painful, too long. I knew it was already taking a long time, and I really liked this paper, and I thought, you know what, this kind of saves me from, and you, from watching me too much. So now I'm going to trim it down. La-di-da. By the way, I love those capris. I wore them to London, and they were very comfortable and not too warm. Okay. And how fun was it to see TJ Maxx over in the UK, but it was TK Maxx. It's funny. Okay. So now I really like that, and I have learned my lesson, and I'm going to do the back side now, right? Oh, I believe I'm going to be doing more collaging there. Why? I don't know. Okay. Squirrel, brain, come on, let's get back. All right, so now I want to use the same paper I used on the first tag just to sort of give it that consistency. And I'm not sure how they're going to what it's going to hang on, and if they flip over, I want it to kind of have that same look. So I'm going to now cover the back side. And I inked the edge there. Oh, look at, I went away from my gluing sheet. I knew it wouldn't last the whole time, and the paper underneath is getting kind of dirty, so maybe I just decide it's not worth it. I don't know. Okay, so now I've covered it up, and now I'm going to decide, what am I going to put on there? It's not quite finished. Oh, how about some washi tape? So I start playing around with washi tape. What would look nice? I'm trying things out. And I'm off screen. I apologize for that. I must be in my little favorites box, or behind my desk I have a organizer that has more tape. Okay. Oh, I like the blue. And the pink is nice, but when I put it on, it kind of disappears there, and I want something with a little bit more contrast. So I go for this washi, which is great, fine. I add that, trim it up. And something about the top is bothering me. I kind of feel like I want to have one more element. I'm big into the whole 3 thing sometime, and I just want 3 elements on the back. So I find a little piece of washi. I think I go back to the pink that kind of disappeared. Oh no, I go do black because I want high contrast. And I just add that on. There we go. Easy peasy. Okay, so now we're getting close to the end, thankfully. And I decide, okay, what do I want on that tag? And I decide I want a word. So I came home with my kids always tease me because whenever I go traveling, I get every single brochure I can find. Oh, it's such a joke in my house. And honestly, I use them in my scrapbooks because, you know what? They're cheaper than printing off photos, and they're really good. And so I came back with this arts pamphlet from London, and I really loved that a lot of the words were typeset so that they were going down, which I really liked. So this one says music, and I really like how it's kind of printed in a gray, so it's light. I like that it's instead of horizontal, it's vertical. So I'm going to use the word music there. And there's some musical notes in that paper, so I think it's going to go really well. Of course, in the end, I end up covering the musical notes, but that's okay. So I decide that the word alone isn't enough. I want to put a little frame around it. So I'm going to glue it on a little piece of scrap paper. And I'm going to, trim that out, cut that. And now I have my little word that I'm going to find a place for on my tag. And I like it in several spots. I mean, again, it's how do you explain? There is no right or wrong. Oh, and I really like, this is a no-sew project, but I want to give it the feeling of sewing. So I'm going to take a little Sharpie, fine tip Sharpie, and I'm just going to make like little stitch marks so it looks like I sewed around it. And the reason I'm doing that is I just want to add a little dimension to that word, and I want it to stand out a little bit more. So now that's done, and I've decided, okay, where am I going to put it? I like it there, but the front tag, it's sort of oriented to the left and the right, and the bottom. So I want to do something opposite the front tag so that if it's shows at the same time, you can see everything. So I opt for the top and I glue it on. And I'm pretty happy with that, even though I'm covering the musical notes that music corresponds with. And I'm not happy with the top corner. I feel like it's empty and I need to add a little something. So I'm just going to add a little bit more scrapbook paper there so that the top has a little bit more balance in my mind, and it offsets the musical word on the right. So now that feels more balanced to me. And if you can see the 1822 on the little plastic, of course I don't want to keep that. So I get my button bin and I'm going to just glue a button and place that over. Now, what you don't see on the video is that it also says 1822 on the back. And later on, I'll put a black button on the back. But right now, I don't notice that it says 1822 on the back. And I won't notice that until after the video is done. And it's not a big deal. I'll just put a black button on the back. Okay, so now what am I doing at the end here? Oh, I want to keep that leaf sticking off, but I know it's just going to get bent. So I get a piece of cardboard and I fold it in half, and I'm going to glue it in between the space of the leaf and the back side of the card. And that way, that leaf is going to be a lot more supported. So now I want to finish that second tag that's been drying. And I decide that, again, you're just going to laugh at me. I decide that I want to do the little, what am I doing now? Hold on. Ooh, I like how that slides. I think I'm thinking there's needs to be one more thing. I'm not sure. Oh, I need to thread it. That's what I need to do. I'm looking for thread. Okay, so I use this thread quite a bit. It's a hemp thread. I get it at Hobby Lobby. I think it's Paper Studio, but it's nice and thin, but it's very strong. I even use it sometimes to do the bindings of my books. And I'm just going to put that through. Alrighty. See, isn't that brad kind of cool? It gives a really substantial base, and it also gives you the ability to hang something, which is neat because a lot of brads don't have that, so I do like that. And now I decide I want to do the stitch method here. Now, in hindsight, before I put the brad in, I should have done it all the way around, because now I have to sort of like keep moving the tag to try to get it all the way around. Oh, and I bravo, Michelle. I realize I am not straight enough to make it look like it's actually stitched, so I get out a tool so that I can at least make it look a little bit more like sewing machine stitches. I'm pretty proud of myself for actually not winging it, because I'm definitely a winger. But see how I have to keep flipping it around, because I should have done this before I put the brad on. but I've messed with that brad enough times. I don't need to do this again. Okay, and some of them are a little far apart. Yeah, I guess I wung it. Still not. Okay, leave it alone, Michelle. Leave it alone. All righty. We are finally getting a little bit to the end here. Okay, so I have one tag. What am I doing here? Oh, I had glued it and now I'm just trimming it. Okay. So now that's sturdy and I have all three. So here's my tags. I have my forest woodland tag that can be written on. I have my flippy out tag with the brad and the mushroom. And I have my double hang tag, which is kind of cool and probably my favorite. I'm not sure which one I like the best. But as you can see, you can really just hold on to those clothing tags because they make really cool embellishments that you can use later, and they're super sturdy, and sometimes half the work is already done for you. So I hope you like this, and I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye.